Hi, this is a diary entry. My name's Michael for anybody who's watching, and the purpose of this entry is my thoughts on Jordan Peterson, the effect he's had on my life, the effect that it's had in the media. So I think for me it's been a really good experience, and I'm so happy that I encountered Jordan Peterson. He's helped me to map basically myself, my personality, which he actually has. This self-authoring suite. I'd already done some self-authoring, so I didn't really have to go and do that. It's only $10. Well, it was when I first found out about it, but I already know how to do that. I'd already been studying so much and was involved in a really good program called DBT and CBT, dialectical behavioural therapy and cognitive behavioural therapy. Very fancy words for helping you unpack your life and map your life and understand what's your shit and what's somebody else's shit, where that line is. And by doing that and mapping more carefully who you are and understanding where things from within you come from, so you can draw that line between your own life and other people's lives, you get a better idea of reality too. And this isn't something that is just for people who have been depressed and have anxiety, in my case, or who have borderline personality disorder, which a lot of people do it for, or because you have some other kind of mental illness. This is great. I think everybody's mentally ill on some level. This is DBT, CBT, Jordan Peterson. You don't need to have some diagnosis to find this stuff valuable. Everybody would benefit from this stuff. Now, the line between our crap and other people's crap, and I mean that in the nicest way, it's just the way I'll say it, is very important. It's very important for us to understand where those lines are, why those lines are there, and why we keep crossing them or why other people keep crossing them. And this is where we end up having arguments and feeling uncomfortable around people. I'm not saying we shouldn't talk, and this is not what CBT or DBT is talking about, or what Jordan Peterson. It's about politeness, as Jordan Peterson would say. Now, if you get into an intimate relationship with somebody, that line between your world and their world, it changes. It almost dissolves in a way, because you become codependent. That's different from talking to the guy at the checkout in a supermarket, or a friend you just catch up with every now and then who you want to have fun with. The line is there for a good reason, you know. Now, what does it mean, really? What is this line? What is this shit that we have that shouldn't cross this line? It's really, I think, our perception of other people and our own world and how they interact. Because that's what it is. It's our perception, and that perception can be altered to change reality. We all do it, no matter how healthy you think you are. We all delete stuff from our experiences. We distort things from our experiences to fit the way we want things to be. And we do it in other ways too, but they're probably the most prevalent. We delete things that people say. We conveniently don't listen to one word, like maybe, so that we can argue with people. And that will say, like, well, maybe da 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 da. And we conveniently leave out the word maybe, right? So that we can say, oh, but you said, and it's like, no, they didn't. They said maybe, they weren't sure. So there's deletion. Distortion, which distorts the message in the end. But distortion purely would be where we hear what somebody says, but Kathy Newman and Jordan Peterson, she was trying to distort what he was saying so she was hearing what he was saying. If you haven't seen it, go watch Jordan Peterson and Kathy Newman. It's very interesting. So she was hearing what he was saying, sure of it, most people are, but was distorting it by saying, oh, so what you're saying is, right? And it's become a whole meme. Oh, so what you're saying is, and so what he was saying was what he was saying. But she was trying to distort it by going, oh, okay, so you said that, but what you really mean is this. So there's distortion of reality. So we do this with our perception. So that's where that line gets crossed a lot of the time. We cross that line, that polite line, by deleting and distorting, and there's other ways, like we will just have this unrealistic idea of reality and for some reason think that the guy or the girl at the checkout wants to hear about our problems for the day. I think even a lot of our best friends don't want to hear about our problems, although good friends will listen. They don't really want to, but they have respect for you. But so if your friends have problems have an issue with your problems, and you're talking about them at heart, I probably wouldn't say, hopefully they wouldn't say that to you if they're good friends. Well, the guy at the checkout seriously don't give a shit. Yeah, she doesn't want to hear, he doesn't want to hear. Okay, so it's just an example. Now, when we cross that line, we do feel like shit. We know, somehow we know, and we end up spiraling out. Because, for instance, the guy at the checkout, deal with that problem so you don't need to. Why are we whining about our problems? Why aren't we fixing them? Instead of whining to everybody about them. Why aren't we writing them down? And going, okay, so I have this issue, now what can I do about it? Instead of, whining to everybody about it. If you're going to talk to your friends about your problems, you'll notice usually they try to come up with solutions. So this is where a lot of people struggle. They don't want to implement the solutions because that means changing. And yes, change is difficult, so I'm not ragging anyone out for doing this. I do it. We all do have this behaviour to a certain extent. So, to get past that, we need tools. Jordan Peterson offers these tools, DBT offers these tools, CBT offers these tools. And it's really ways of slowing everything down, and by writing it down and using the tools, there's mindfulness exercises and written exercises, so it's meditation and writing down pros and cons lists to work things out, learning concepts about how the mind works, like layman's terms, so that we don't have to become therapists. But layman's terms, there's a really good one, like wise mind and emotional mind, right? So wise mind, emotional mind, and then where those circles cross over, you get like a vesica, the vesica Pisces. So that vagina shape between those two circles is, it's rational mind and emotional mind, and the vesica Pisces is wise mind. Yeah. Now, so you got your rational mind, your emotional mind, and the vesica Pisces, where those circles, rational mind and emotional mind, and where they cross, you got wise mind. So an example would be that your rational mind is responsible for you judging the distance between you and a car so you can cross the road safely, or so that you can add numbers together, or so that you can understand the words a person says and make calculations about the words they say and rational conclusions about what they say. Whereas your emotional mind is, how do you feel about what they say? Now, this is where that line gets crossed a lot. I'm not saying we should be robots, no. We should be aware of this though. Because what stops us from entering wise mind a lot of the time is our emotional mind. The rational mind no doubt could do it too if you've been taught that 1 and 1 equals 3. Your rational mind may believe that. But that's usually very rare. What it usually is the emotional mind interjects while somebody's talking to you. So then what you do is your perception and your emotions and your life experience comes into play, and you get emotional about it, and all of a sudden, as the social justice warriors would say, I'm offended. And there's been some great comedy about being offended. It's like, well, you have the right to be offended, is what this really funny Australian comedian said. I love it. So what if you're offended? It doesn't equal wisdom. It doesn't equal something bad has happened. Just because I say that you're stupid, I think that you're stupid right now, alright? That I said that, does that really matter? I mean, if you think about it rationally, rational mind, well, getting emotional about it, is that really going to help anybody? Like, crossing that line into reality and getting emotional about it privately, yeah, I'm saying like, that dude's rude, don't like him. Your rational mind goes, well, probably that's a nasty person. And so then your wise mind goes, well, what do we do about that? I don't know, well, let's just avoid that person. You don't stand there and argue that you're offended and that person should change the way they speak. And so this is, social justice warriors are a great example of people who need CBT, DBT, and they need Jordan Peterson. They created Jordan Peterson. Without social justice warriors, Jordan Peterson, obviously the man, would still exist, but as he is today, I doubt that he would exist in this form. I think it's great. Thank you, PC and social justice warriors and this awful form of feminism, for bringing Jordan Peterson and Milo Yiannopoulos and these other people that I really like, Ben Shapiro. Love these people. Thank you. Because they make sense. Because social justice warriors are a great example of crossing that line where our shit, we start putting it onto other people. Do you know what? Maybe if that person said you were being stupid and you were being dumb, or that you were dumb, I know it's a clumsy way of saying your behaviour was dumb, but that's probably what they really meant. They probably didn't, just in instance, they probably in that case didn't really mean you are completely a dumb person. Probably just what you were doing or talking about or saying at the time. Maybe they were right. See, there's the dialectics. Rational, die as in, opposed. So your rational mind, your emotional mind, not just, oh, my emotional mind says that hurt, so that's bad. You know what? Being uncomfortable is what makes us grow. Growing is uncomfortable. So your emotional mind is there for a good reason, but it's not your way to navigate the outer world. Your rational mind needs to interject, and you need to use your wise mind and emotional mind together, with the rational and the emotional mind together, to get a wise outcome for conducting yourself in public and with your friends and with your wife. Otherwise, you're just this victim a victim of your emotions. Who wants that? So, that's really the best way I can explain Jordan Peterson and CBT and DBT and where I've been for the last year in my personal development. I guess that's helpful. I always had this interest and curiousness and attitude as well towards growth and self-development. I always enjoyed that. So it's a bit more difficult if I guess you haven't been geared towards that, because just out of the sake of being interested in it in the first place. Otherwise, it's not that hard to understand this information. What's hard about that's anybody who just watched this and heard that understands what rational mind and emotional mind is, and then putting them together and coming up with a wise solution. We understand what that means. That's not difficult. So that you can navigate the world in a less messy, clumsy way. Navigate yourself, understand yourself in a less clumsy way. It's beneficial to our lives. Who doesn't want more happiness? Who doesn't want more comfortability? So I found this, that if you explain to a person why and the reason behind why they're doing a thing, you're going to get a better result and they're going to be more motivated to do a thing. Well, to really analyse yourself correctly and not be lazy about that is going to help you navigate the pain in your life and have less pain. And if your life is hard to have less pain in, at least you're going to be able to navigate that pain and make some use out of that emotional pain, and maybe even physical pain. Make it useful. Otherwise, what's the point? Standing there with a frickin' billboard whining at people. I want more, I want more, I want more. I'm offended. Fuck off. Really? Look at your behaviour properly. Just stop it and think about it. Not just for a second. Think about it every day. Watch yourself. Be responsible for what you're doing. Don't be lazy. Look, whatever you're into, whatever your ideology is, look into it properly. Don't say, look at a video or a book and read the first paragraph or hear the first 1 minute and they're insulting my Marxist hero, or they're insulting my feminist hero, so they must be wrong. That's an emotional reaction. Your emotions can't be trusted to make important decisions like that. Your emotions are there for a completely different reason. They're not there to make decisions like that. They're there to make other decisions. They're there to make decisions about whether you like a certain type of food. They're there to make decisions about whether you like a certain type of music. They're not there to make decisions about how you're going to think and operate in the world with other people like that. Not like that. You need to think harder with your rational mind to really understand the concepts of communism versus capitalism. And then study the history with your rational mind and understand where those things lead. Yes, capitalism's not perfect. It's damn better than communism. If it wasn't, why is capitalism the dominant force? It's because it works better. Every system is corrupt. That's just a lazy way of arguing. No, it's corrupt. So was communism. It killed so many fucking people in such a short amount of time. Oh, capitalism kills people. Yes, it does. It's not perfect. But it doesn't murder millions of people just over a couple of years. And capitalism doesn't tell you what to think or what to say. Right? You have freedom at least. Well, as far as freedom goes, people have a weird idea of what the word freedom really means. True freedom to a lot of people means, well, I can do whatever I like. No, you can't just go out and start flapping your arms and fly, right? Right? That's not a false analogy either, or a straw man. It's not. Think about it properly. That applies. You can't, so therefore there are lots of other things you're not free to do either. Right? Because it's not good for you. So better analogy is if you stood on a cliff and then said, well, I'm free to fly off this cliff. Yes, you are, but you're going to hit the bottom. That's the reality. So that applies. You're free, if you want to look at it that way, to do many things that are bad for you, yes. But, geez, use your rational mind. Okay? It's like heroin. It's stick heroin in your arms and you feel great. Oh wow, this feels so great. Okay, come on. Think about it with your rational mind. Like, where does it lead? The same as flying off the cliff. Where does that lead? It doesn't lead to a good place. Neither does communism. Now, so let's delve into that a little bit with capitalism, actually, because this isn't just for people watching, this is for me. And I'm learning as I'm going. So capitalism, well, where does that lead? It's leading to no capitalism, I guess. Because, why? Because robots. Funny enough, capitalism is doing its job. It is elevating society. The free market has led to the development of robots and AI. It's not that far away, and people are not going to be needed to do so many things. So if we're not needed anymore to do the work, where do we get the money to buy the things the robots and the AI are making? It's very interesting. So we literally are heading towards something that looks like a Star Trek type scenario as far as money's concerned, where we really do just, as a society, we outgrow the need for money. And humans are then free to become something else. Explorers of space, for instance. That's great. We are explorers at heart. A lot of us are anyway. We really do like to, we're curious. We like to find out what's over the hill. So we can be free to do other things. We can be free to become more educated. In time, obviously, it's not happening. Well, it is slowly happening now, but it hasn't happened yet. But eventually, it's going to happen. If we keep down this path, humans will not need to work the way that we work now. We're going to have a lot of free time. So education, I think, would be the best bet, and art. Education in directions that still do need humans. There will be, obviously, for a while. I think if you look far enough into the future, eventually humans won't need to do any kind of labour at all. It will be a choice. And I think mostly that choice, if you look at it that way, once we get beyond even needing to learn anything to actually do a job, you'll be learning things just for the fun of it and just to create art. Of who knows what type by then. Even just a basic drawing. What a joy. to devote our lives to friendships and love and art and exploration, seeing what's over the horizon and reading the latest developments that AI have by this stage come up with for the fabric of reality. I mean, that's exciting. And what is getting us there? Capitalism. For a while I hated capitalism. I got into the zeitgeist movement and I now see why. I think, I wasn't in the know, but I think I see why a man called Jacques Fresco is a futurist. I think I see why him and, I can't remember, sorry dude, but I can't remember your name, who went on to create the zeitgeist movement. I think I can see why they separated, because the zeitgeist movement is very communist in its outlook and yeah, not cool. Like, whereas you look at Jacques Fresco and he's seeing where things are going. He's not trying to force it there. Trying to force people's minds in a direction is definitely not freedom. Definitely not. That's not okay. Trying to compel speech or compel thought or... No. Humans, we need to grow in the direction we grow in, and if that's the destruction of the species, well then maybe we don't deserve to survive, right? I'm not sure we could ever truly destroy ourselves. We'll probably survive in some form, but as we are now, if we don't make it, maybe we don't deserve it. If we had, for instance, somebody come here, so if through capitalism, if we destroy our environment before we manage to inhabit other planets, well then maybe we didn't deserve to get off the planet as a species. Well, we don't yet. You know, maybe it sets us back 1,000 years and we go back to the freaking dark ages. Maybe it's because we weren't ready yet. You know, because imagine if an alien species did come here and gave us a leg up and got us to another planet right now and said, maybe we're not, and gave us all this technology to get to other planets. Maybe we're not mature enough. Right? Maybe that would be a very, very bad thing. It seems cool and it sounds cool and it's like, yay, bring on the technology and bring on the space travel, but yeah, that's cool stuff, but what are the... It's like jumping off the cliff, right, and saying I'm free to fly, right, but yeah, are you ready to fly? Nah. And we're probably not ready to actually inhabit other planets yet. We'll know the answer to that if we can go and get to Mars. It's just next door. If we can't do that on our own, we don't deserve to be there. It's like anything, you got to earn it. So that's where capitalism takes us. Now, my ability to think about these things clearly, and I believe I am, to the best of my ability at this point with the knowledge I have, what I'm saying is, I'm no doubt wrong on a lot of things. But you have to be. Otherwise, how do you learn? But my ability to make it further than where I was before has mostly to do with this information that I've been gathering over the years on how to think. And that is what it is. It's how to think. And it's not being programmed. It's what tools are you born with, right, as a human being, and how can you best use those tools. It's not here's tools, use those. It's tools you already have inside you. And, oh no, well I guess there are also, oh, and here's tools. But, yeah, so yeah, that's wrong. Also there are tools that you can be taught. But it's only using what you were born with. I mean, it's not programming you, because this is a problem somebody had in a course I was in. And they're like, oh, it feels like we're being brainwashed. I think that person had that fear because they could feel that it meant changing. So it was easier to to just deny it as something bad and as brainwashing it. Well, it's not. It's giving us tools to help navigate our life. We could do what we like with those tools. Use them for good, use them for evil. And that's a good point too. I think that's the sign of freedom there. Is, do you have the freedom to use that in a bad way? If you do, well then I think, funny enough, contradictory enough, that it's a good thing then. Because not having the choice to do evil, then there's no dialectics, there's no opposition. So then what is evil anymore? If everything's just good and you're just dictated to that this is the way, this is PC, you can't say this, you can't do this, and all that crap. Right? Then there's no opposition in their minds. So then what do? They become evil. Because in their ideology, there's no way they could ever be evil. Because they deny the existence of it within their ideology, then when it creeps in, they'll never see it. They'll deny that it's there. Again, just this denial. You know, like the person who was trying to deny that the tools would help him by saying it was brainwashing and propaganda. It's the same thing. So yeah, it's a good measure of a tool, I think, is the ability to use it as you see fit. And then a measure of the person is using that tool in a mature and virtuous way. Right? Because then you had the option to use it for evil, but did you? What makes you a good person? Is it because you've been dictated to how to be a good person? Or is it because you had the ability to be bad, but you chose to be good? Who's stronger? Who is the better person? The person who just had no choice? Or the person who had choice but chose the good? Yeah, trying to take away dialectics is evil. Because it just leads to evil. So in itself it's evil. And so those tools, to get back to that, off on that tangent of what to do with the tools. So those tools that I've developed over the years, and then they've really come to a head lately, they're so powerful. They help to strip away the bullshit and to see things the way they are. And life is more exciting this way and clearer. I can see my path when I create one. Clearly, how to get there, what needs to be done, no illusions. None. That's important. And that's what these tools are for. This is what people like Jordan Peterson are for. They're there to help you learn tools to navigate your own way and have your own mind, your own thoughts, and find your way there so that you haven't missed this, as my instructor actually said to me years ago, a combat instructor. He said there's steps to learning techniques. If you skip those steps, then you don't know how you bloody got there. You need to learn the steps. Especially if you find yourself in a place where you haven't done it in a while and you may, you don't understand how you got there. How do you get back there? How do you teach somebody else to get there? Even more importantly, how do you pass that information on? So if somebody just says to you, don't say the word nigger because it's bad, and you just believe that without thinking about it for yourself, by the way, which I agree calling an African American that word is bad, but the word in itself isn't bad. Right? But why would you want to call an African American that word? What's the intention behind that? It's the intention that's bad. Right? So there's the step. Oh, it's just bad, don't say it. Well, explain to me why. If you can't explain to me why it's bad to say that word, well then I don't give a shit and I'll say that word. Well, in that battle, I said that word, yes, because nigger. Let's say it again, nigger, right? It's when you call an African American that word, which I won't do, that's awful. That's shithouse. The history to that word, under the under slavery being called that word, of course you wouldn't want to be called that word. We shouldn't. Now I know why. Of course I won't call an African American that word. So there's an example of skipping steps. Whereas PC crowd and social justice warriors just want to say, it's bad because racism. Well, no, explain the story properly. You know? Explain it. Or, you know, misogynist. Why? Oh, you're a misogynist because you don't believe Trump's a misogynist. Why? Gotta ask. Why? Dialectics. Not just one narrative and one ideology just dictating everything you think and say and do. Right? That's what causes the mess. That's what causes upset and shit and crap. Right? You got all these young people now, confused as shit, standing out on corners protesting things that they can't even explain to you for more than 30 seconds without resorting to getting emotional and calling you names or refusing to talk to you. And what's done this? The education system has done this. The media has done this. Because people are just blindly listening to their lecturer, or blindly watching TV, or listening to the news, without questioning. It's just like, it's just total authority over people's minds. That's not cool. So, and then to go back to my friend who was afraid of dialectics being brainwashing, it did the exact opposite for me. It's opened my mind. Now I see a subject and it's like, okay, so for example, the word nigger, it's like, so okay, I'll look at that word and go, so why is it really bad? And instead of being fucking lazy and just believing people, I look into something like that, and which I did when I was younger. I looked into that word and I was like, well, why is that word bad? Because I've always been a bit this way. Why is that word bad? What's the history behind it? Who came up with the word in the first place? Right? I ask fundamental questions of why. Why is slavery bad? Not just somebody said slavery is bad because black people. Why is slavery bad? Why is it wrong? You need to ask these questions, not just make a snap judgment and go, okay, slavery is not good because they said so, because lots of black people were upset. Fuck no. Is slavery bad? Yes, it is. But we need to know exactly why, so we don't repeat the same mistakes. Now, socialism, bad. Why? Now this is the problem that capitalists, and it's a problem that we have where we just, oh, because it's bad. Explain why is it bad, and Jordan Peterson's done a good job of doing this. I didn't even understand exactly why. And it was again, I'm still learning. I'm not claiming to be anybody super wise. I've got a lot to, I understand the depth of my ignorance. I am dumb as shit. Most of us are. But it doesn't mean that we have to navigate the world like a dumb shit. Right? You can learn to navigate the world intelligently and still be completely fucking stupid. I mean, that's life. We know nothing. Alright? So anyway, I didn't understand properly why I thought communism was good, and then I hated it. And I didn't even understand exactly why I hated it. I was just giving in to popular opinions. This is what we do. We need to stop doing that. So Jordan Peterson's done a good job of explaining why Marxism is fucking bad. It's a shit idea. Because humans are fallible. As I just said, most of us, the best of us, are still really fucking stupid. So you put a system like socialism in, it leads to a bad place because of how stupid we are and how corruptible we are. So yes, capitalism is corruptible as well, but at least there's a circulation and people have the ability to at least have some of that power physically, literally, in the form of money, or these days it's blips on a fucking screen. I mean, that's how ridiculous it is, I know, but at least there's some amount and some measure of that power being circulated. With socialism, there's none. With this Marxist idea, or where these people are trying to push things, there's no measure of that power. So there's no accountability for the people who are responsible for making the decisions, the big decisions, the government. They can become as corrupt as they like, just because you must do this and you must think that way, and because of identity politics. Fuck no, that's so dangerous. That's why. Because we're human. And that idea, it's just wrong. It makes everything subjective and emotional. And like it's in the book, and if it's not in the book and it doesn't fit into this, then it's bad. That's not cool, because people who are in power, right, while all us little fucking peons or little minions are running around doing their will, they have the freedom, because they would be, in this instance, they're running the police, and they're running everything. They have the ability to abuse the crap out of that system, as the police would have the freedom to abuse the crap out of us. And that's what happened. It's exactly what happened. The power that was given to human beings through that system was abused in the worst ways. So there's why Marxism bad. Look it up. And so I can't explain it really as well as Jordan Peterson can, or as well as probably a lot of people can. But I think I still did a pretty good job. Now, so the dialectics and the cognitive behavioural therapy and psychoanalysis, that's the way forward for us as human beings. Really, I believe that's the truth. And because science is only going to go so far, and then we're not even going to need to understand science anymore if we don't want to. Most of us don't need it at all, because computers will do everything. You'll just jump in a rocket and it'll just take you where you want to go. We're not far away from you. It's not far away. It's only Elon Musk was talking about this. It's not far away, and you'll jump in a car and it will take you. You won't even have to understand how to drive the car. So the way forward for human beings seems to be it's understanding ourselves, and not only understanding ourselves properly, but understanding where we fit in the world and being able to adapt to change, which I think is really at the core of it. It's the world is constantly changing. We're aging, and we get ill, and even without bringing the future of medicine into it, let's just not do that. But you know, the world's always changing, and our emotions are changing, and our friends are changing. How do we cope with that? That's the way forward. And I think that's where human beings are going to continue to have a lot of work. As far as machines are concerned, I'm not really confident at this stage that a machine is anywhere near being able to counsel a human being in any deep way that's going to be helpful for a human being. I'm sure it will come. I do believe that that will happen. But for a while, I think the way forward for human beings really is psychoanalytics and art and joy and happiness. Yeah. So, yeah, until then, until robots do take over and we live in a paradise, we need to do, as Jordan Peterson says, clean your room. Look after yourself. Look after your own environment first, and then look at what's going on outside. Because if you can't just do that, then you need to focus on that first and be able to do that and look after your own life and have your own life in order. And then worry about what other people are doing and thinking and saying. You know, keep your own life in order. Do some kind of work on a daily basis that makes you feel that you've contributed. Because you'll feel better. If you don't like the way capitalism makes people work, make your own work. For Christ's sake, stop making excuses and move forward in life. Find a way forward. You know? Don't just get stuck in this emotional, I don't like it, I don't like it. If you don't like it, do something else. Find a way around it. Use your brain. You have one? Find the tools. If you don't have the tools, find them. They're there. Jordan Peterson, dialectical behavioural therapy, which actually, now come to think of it, I'll look into that. I wouldn't be surprised if he had something to do with that. Maybe a lot to do with that, and cognitive behavioural therapy. You know, find those things. They will help. So, apart from the diary, I have actually expressed some opinions that I hope will help people. And yeah, leave some comments. I would love to hear, out of all the videos I've done, this one I'm most interested, would love to hear some comments. If anybody managed to even listen to it and get through it. Love to hear some comments. That'd be great. And anybody who's, seriously, I delete comments all the time. And not because you oppose my views, but if you're just being disruptive and just being a fucking idiot, fuck off. I will just delete your comments, seriously. It's just not interested. Right? But other than that, if you want to oppose my views, cool, but why? Not because you're a misogynist or because you said the word nigger or because, you know, not interested, man. Again, not interested. You need to be able to explain yourself properly, please. And I don't mind if you oppose my views. I'll never delete a comment for disagreeing with me. I will delete a comment if you're just impolite and a very disagreeable person. Oh yeah, so, which I'm not going to finish the video because for my own benefit, and yours hopefully, I want to reiterate something I learned about the personality test that I did with Jordan Peterson, but I want to remember it. Like, the foundation of it, it's a pentagon, and it is, so I'll actually draw this and write this down if I can. No, I don't have a pen in reach, so I'll explain it. So it is a pentagram, right? So it's got 5 points, or a pentagon. It's got 5 points, and the top one is E, and E stands for extroversion. So you answer a bunch of questions which help you to understand where you are on the extroversion scale. Okay? And so then you go around, so it's E, and then it's, I could get these backwards, but I will name them all. And then I'm pretty sure it's agreeableness. So you go, answer the question, tells you where you are on the agreeableness scale. So there's two subheadings under each one, but I can't remember exactly what they are. Some of them, but I can't remember exactly, so I'm not going to go into it. So yeah, you got where you are on the extroversion scale, where you are on the agreeableness scale. So agreeableness is, you know, like, you pleasant to be around or are you unpleasant to be around? Okay? And Then where you are on, then there's a C, so where you are on the conscientiousness scale. Conscientiousness is your level of disgust. How much mess can you stand in your life in general, whether it's clothes unfolded or unwashed or rubbish on the floor or and that leads into your work ethic and like do you tend more towards conscientious like to be a hard worker and want to work all the time? Do you want to work some of the time, or do you really not like to work at all? Like that where you're on a conscientious scale. So conscientiousness, agreeableness, and extroversion, and so that's 3. And then the fourth one is probably not, but I'm going to say this one because it's the one I'm remembering at the moment, is openness. And this one comes last usually, I'm pretty sure. And openness is your ability to learn new things. Social justice warriors and PC crowd out there, right? Your ability to have an open mind and use dialectics, really. So where you are on the scale of openness, so that are you good at learning new things? Do you find learning new things hard? Are you even open to learning anything new at all? Right? So yeah, there's extroversion. Yeah, extroversion. Then it's meant to be neuroticism. So extroversion, neuroticism. Where are you on the neurotic scale? Right? Do you have a lot of self-criticism and criticism of others and what's going on, and is there a lot of that negative? How much of that do you have? I think we all have it, but how much? So yeah, that's right. It's extroversion, neuroticism, agreeableness, conscientiousness, and then openness. Yeah, I got it. Yeah, I've been trying to remember that because when you're talking to another person, you can see that in them, and then once you map your own personality, you're not just mapping your own personality. You're mapping everybody you know and everybody you'll ever meet. Because by understanding yourself more, you understand other people more. And that helps you with that line. Where's that line of politeness, and when do I cross it and when don't I cross it in a relationship? And should I even bother crossing it at all? Right. Anyway, I thought that was really interesting because it's a great way of remembering it, and hopefully I'll learn the subheadings for each one. Like I said, I can't remember some of them at the moment, but and I even mentioned some of them, but I can't remember them properly. So yes, I am really going to finish now. It's been a long video. It's nearly been an hour. So yeah, please comment. Tell me what you think. Like, subscribe if you want. There's a lot of varied stuff on this channel, music and gaming and my thoughts on things, even a weight loss diary. So I've got a fair bit of information to share if anybody's interested. And have a great day. Right, bye.